Hey guys, Texas De La Rosa here. I am back for my number 2 video. That's right, my second YouTube video. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for subscribing to all my subscribers. And I hope you guys share these videos because I will be doing more of them every single Monday. And we'll be talking about just all the things that are in my world. And so obviously the last video was kind of an intro video, getting to know who I am. You'll get to know more about my personality, I guess, through more of these videos as it is. But what I wanted to go over today was some questions because I've realized that this would be a better way to streamline a lot of my questions that I have in my group for cosmetic tattoo professionals, which is basically it's a group that is a private group on Facebook that you can go and be a member of if you are in the permanent makeup community, laser community, or in the beauty industry as far as like just learning stuff with permanent cosmetics and things like that. So I've got some questions that I'm going to answer today, and I thought it would be a really great segue to talk about these things because I think that when we're all kind of like this being a new channel and we're all starting new things out sometimes, it's good to get information from other people that have kind of been there and done that, right? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So as far as the question that I'm going to answer today, I want to read the question out so you can understand this. And then I actually went through the comments and looked through the comments and saw some stuff that I thought was really important to talk about, and some of the things that I would have done differently that could have changed the situation. So, all right, so I'm going to read this here. So it says, any advice on how to become confident enough to tell the client that I know what's best for them as a result as they want. Let's see. Let me go back again. Any advice on how to become confident enough to tell the client that I know what's best for the result they want, but I let them tell me what to do? Maybe it's because my client was a doctor and I could not speak up to the fact that I do have this and she needs to trust me. I mean, she brought her own mirror to look at herself. God bless her. I mean, she's adorable and lovely, but I'm just not there yet with confidence, and let me know how and to let them know I got this. Okay, so basically this is something that I think that can kind of encompass anything we're doing out there in the world as far as like in the aesthetic world, makeup, it could be laser, it could be really anything. When someone comes in that makes you feel like you are not doing your job or you don't know how to do your job, or someone's kind of making you have that kind of feeling that you're not good enough or something, you know, I think that's something that we all have had happen to us at least once or twice. I've had it happen to me a myriad of times, and you know, throughout the different type of treatments that I do as far as makeup, everything. And that is never a good feeling. The best advice that I can give someone in that situation is to really evaluate that situation. Number one of the main things that I do is I vet a lot of my clients now as far as that goes. Meaning when they come in for certain things, like not really for makeup, but when they come in for other procedures, like whether if it's more on the medical side of things, or if they're doing like permanent makeup, cosmetics, things like that, cosmetic tattooing, what I'll do is I'll actually have them come in and do consultations. I don't do walk-ins. I don't do, you come in and whatever. I don't let people book online and not get a consultation if I haven't seen you in person. I need to vet the situation. I need to come in and I need to check things out. I need you to come in so I can physically see you, and then we can kind of go from there. That is the number one thing that I think would be the better situation to do. I don't know if this person had a consultation with you or not, but that is the one thing to do. Why? At that consultation, you can then go a little bit deeper into what you're doing, how you're going to do it. And I'm going to tell you, when I have consultations for people, regardless of what procedure it is, 9 times out of 10, when they're done with that consultation with me, they feel comfortable with me. They understand that I know what I'm doing, that this is, maybe a medical procedure or this and that, and that it needs medical sign off. A lot of times when people come in for laser, I had this happen the other day. A lady came in for some for vein removal, and she thought she was just going to pop back in and I was going to zap her, and I was like, no, we have to actually get you to get signed off by our doctor and talk to a nurse practitioner through Spa Connect and and she was like, really, just for laser? And I was like, yeah, it's this is not just I can just zap whoever I want. You have to actually go through the different steps of service, and one of those is getting signed off by our medical professionals. So again, I could lose my license doing that kind of stuff, doing something crazy, working under a doctor. This is, we're very strict with certain things. And so, she was like, oh, okay. So I think a lot of people maybe just don't understand until they come in and do a consultation, how big of a situation it really is for them, you know. So I think that consultations are great because then you could also see if that's the client that you want to work with. And I think this could be good for anyone across the board, whether you're a new makeup artist, a new laser tech, a new permanent makeup artist, anyone that is new in any industry. I mean, you could be a new cosmetologist, new cutting hair. I mean, you know, I think consultations are great when you're first starting out with things like that, you know, because again, if you're doing something that is a little bit more invasive, and maybe not like a haircut or something, but little things like that, maybe you need to get that kind of that energy from that person and see whether or not that person's right for you, and if that person's making you feel uncomfortable, if they're making you feel like you're not good enough for them, if they're making you feel like you're second guessing yourself or you're tripping over your own words during that consultation, then maybe it's not the right fit. And that's okay. I think that 9 times out of 10, people would rather be told that they're not a good fit for the person than you do something and go ahead and proceed with the procedure, knowing in your heart that you were nervous or you were, you know, kind of scared to do it. And you know, then you start second guessing yourself. And that's just a really bad situation to get into. That means that that whole thing can snowball into a huge, huge problem. And then that person's going to come back in and start nitpicking all the things that you did wrong, right? You know, whether it be makeup or, you know, cosmetics, you know, my brow's too dark or too heavy or this or that, or, you know, the arch, or, you know, my lips aren't right or whatever it is. And they start nitpicking all the little things, right? And then you've already had this kind of negative situation in the beginning, and then it just gets worse. And then you have that person now wanting to go on social media and talk about how you didn't do this right or that right. And so it just to me, I think it's so much safer to have a consultation. So I think it is, because then you can decide whether or not you want to even take that client on as a client. And sometimes that means no. Sometimes that means, I mean, I've turned down people from, you know, taking them on as clients, and I don't feel bad about it because I know that I did the right thing for myself. And that was something that I think that, you know, in my early years, I didn't really do. In my early years, I did things that people told me they wanted, even though I didn't think it was probably the best situation for them. But I also worked for a company that was just like, get them in, get them out, that type of thing. And now I can actually make better choices for my clients and actually educate my clients in what's better for them, you know, versus just doing what they want. Because sometimes people just want what they want, and that's great. But that doesn't mean that you're going to come to me to get it. You might have to go somewhere else if I don't think it's going to be the right situation for you. Okay, so I'm hearing some other things when I was looking at the comments, and it says here that this person was a doctor who came in, and I guess she brought her own mirror, and that she was literally taking phone calls about a baby having seizures, and man, this is another one too. I'm going to be real honest about this situation. I find that very, very rude. If someone has that type of job where they have to be on their phone all the time, I've told my clients that I need their 100% attention at the time, and I don't need their phone on. I've had clients try to do this thing where they have the phone over them, and I've got them laying back, and I'm trying to tattoo them, and they're doing stuff. I've had people with the mirror, you know, right over their face, trying to micromanage. Well, what's going on here? What's going on here? I don't allow my clients to do that anymore. Again, back in my younger years, I used to do that kind of stuff, and I don't do that anymore because, again, I think it's very rude because I wouldn't do that to them. You know, if I was going into a medical situation and going to see my doctor, I wouldn't be talking to my doctor, you know, about my situation. Like I just recently had a surgery. I wouldn't be in there with my doctor who's trying to explain things to me and go over my procedure with me. I wouldn't be like this on my phone. Like that's so rude. I think it's so rude. I don't care how important that person is in their world. They're the most important person to me when they're laying down and I'm working on them, and they need to respect that time with me. And if that means that they're on call all the time, then they need to come in on a time when they're not on call. You know, that sort of thing. Or they need to set aside an hour or two and let people know I'm not going to be able to be on the phone at this time, because again, I just find that to be very rude and very distracting, especially if you were already feeling a bit anxious and a bit nervous about the situation. I don't think that that was the right thing to do. I think that you kind of lost control maybe a little bit. And we can do that at times. You know, we kind of, you know, maybe you were like enamored because she's a doctor and this and that. And guys, I have taught doctors in my own practices. I've had to teach some doctors, because just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you know everything about certain procedures, right? And so I've had to teach, you know, I've taught doctors laser, I've taught doctors how to do radiation radiofrequency, different things, erbiums, that sort of thing. And it's difficult to teach someone that's very educated. It really is. So that's another thing that I want to talk about. When you're going into a situation where you don't feel like you are good enough or what have you, the one main thing that I can promise you will always serve you better is if you have all the knowledge. If you can literally immerse yourself into what your world is, and when someone asks a question, you know the answer immediately, and it's not just some bullshit. It's not something that just flew out of your mouth because you saw it on TikTok or something. It needs to be something that's really educated. So, for instance, I had a client the other day that I was doing her brows, and I did not know that she was an EMT at one point, and she was talking to me about different things and different stuff. And I've worked under doctors in medical for 8 years now, and so I've learned a lot of things. I mean, I've learned a lot of stuff from some really good people. And so she was talking to me about stuff, and she's like, "You've had a lot of medical training, haven't you?" And I was like, "Well, I think I kind of have, actually, because I'm also a perpetual learner. I like to learn things and do things that most people probably find that they don't need to know, but I find it fascinating. And especially as me being an educator and teaching what I do and permanent makeup and makeup and cosmetic tattooing and all the things and laser, I need to know how to speak the language and talk the talk, and not just reading the surface level and the Cliff's Notes. I need to dive deep, really, and dive deep into that information. So when you are feeling that way, one of the best things that I can tell you that will help you in your career is really talking the talk and walking the walk. If you are doing something, you need to know every single thing about it, meaning every little question that person has, you need to have an answer for immediately. It needs to roll off the tongue. It needs to be that fast, because people can tell. They're like sharks with blood in the water, man. They can tell when you don't know. And when you don't know, and then you're sitting there on your phone trying to Google, and you're like, oh, that's a really bad sign. That means that person may then decide not to go with you and do the procedure with you, because you don't know. I know this for a fact that this happens because it happened to one of my patients who was a laser patient. She's become a laser patient of mine, and I'm eventually going to be doing her brows and her eyeliner again because she's having them removed with us. And she had them removed at a different facility first. She had the first session. She got some brows removed right here, and she's actually a case study in my class that I teach for laser removal for tattoos. And what happened was the technician that removed her brows from the first, because she didn't like that they were kind of blocky in the front, and she wanted them more kind of soft and more feathered in the front. So she went to this facility. They removed the front parts of her brow, and when she went back in for her second procedure, the technician that was doing her laser didn't know why the pigment had turned red. That's a really common thing to happen in permanent makeup. In fact, actually, it happens to a lot of the patients because of, again, the undertones in those pigments, right? So when you're removing a layer of something, there's always a layer of something underneath it, and sometimes we just don't know. It's kind of like opening a Christmas present. We don't know what's under there. We don't know what's in there, and so it's going to happen like that. And so that technician didn't know, and then he lost that patient, because what happened was that patient then was like, "You don't know what happened, why this turned this color? Well, why am I coming to you if you don't know what you're doing?" And then she started questioning him, and then he was like, "Well, let me try it again, and we'll see what happens." She was like, "I'm not going to have you try to laser my face again. You either know what you're doing or you don't." And so it turned into the situation where I think it made him look really it made him look amateur, and again, this is nothing ugly to say about anyone, because it just, again, you don't know what you don't know. But here's the thing: you can't call yourself a specialist in something unless you know everything. You're not a master, you're not a specialist, you're not any of those things if you don't know what you don't know. And so, again, I think arming yourself with all of the knowledge is going to be the most important thing that can be in your favor in the future with situations like this. Because, again, guys, a lot of times I don't really question my clients of what they're doing and stuff. And so, I mean, sometimes I find out that, again, they're EMTs or they're doctors or the nurses or this and that. And so what's really cool about this situation is that they all respect me and what I'm doing, and they know that that I'm at the top of my game, because they've come in, they've asked the questions, they've asked all the things, I've had all the answers, the consultations went great, and then now they're doing their procedure and they're happy, because then they know what to expect and what's going to go on. And I think that that's really something that's really important. So again, I don't also, like I said, I have had some people where they're disrespectful, and I don't allow that anymore. If you're disrespectful in my room, meaning disrespecting my time, I had someone that was, I mean, I get that emergencies are going to happen, and I had someone, get up not too long ago actually, and she got up because she was having a sitter taking care of her kids, and she was like, I guess something was going on, and she had to get up, and I was like, that's fine, I was like, I'll put some numbing on your brows while you're taking that quick phone call, and I understand that stuff. That stuff sometimes is going to happen to you, but she apologized. It was like, I'm so sorry, I won't get on the phone again. She turned her phone off and did everything. And I was like, look, you're only going to be here for a couple hours. It's not like you're here for like 6 hours. Just take care of your things. But then we need to get back on track because again, I have other patients behind you, and that's what I always let my clients know is that I respect their time, but they need to respect mine too. And so if they again don't, if they no call no show, they don't show up or this or running late, sometimes that puts other people out for them, and because they are now pushing into other people's time, and that doesn't fly with me either. Because again, as I've gotten into my industry and been more, as I've gotten more confident in my industry and confident in what I do, I respect everybody, but I need them to respect me back too. It is a two-way street there when it comes to your patient and your actual practitioner doing stuff with you. So I see that too. And then it just said here another detail that the mirror was she brought in. She had it in her lap and kept asking to look every 5 minutes. You don't do that. You need to stop doing that. That's never a good situation for anyone to be in. That's just going to hold up a lot of time. I've had this happen to me, and I have a funny story. I had this happen to me actually for a wedding that I was going to be doing. I was doing a trial for a bride at a salon that I was working at. This is many, many years ago. And this is actually one of the very first brides that I did not do. And then I finally was, I think at that point I'd been working for that salon for a long, long time. And I decided that I wasn't going to take her on as a client because I thought she was very rude. She was coming in and, just being ugly to the hairstylist, and she was, just being very demanding and this and that. And she got all my makeup and she was looking at it and looking at stuff and, pencils and what is this? And just like putting her hands through my stuff before I was even talking to her. And I was kind of so taken back by it because I was like, well, this is my personal stuff. This isn't the salon stuff. This is my personal makeup and my own kit. And you're digging through it like it's your purse. That's not cool. And it just got worse from there. And it turned out that I just wound up not wanting to take her on as a client. And sometimes you have to do that, I mean, she was literally, as I was putting on her eyeliner, she's just like watching me, like micromanaging every little thing that I was doing. Well, I wouldn't do that. I would do the whole, I want to do, and I was like, okay, at one point I was like, you sound like you really know what you want for your wedding. Why don't you just, are you wanting to do your own makeup or are you wanting me to do it? Because it sounds like you really want to do your own makeup. And and she was like, oh no, I just I just have certain ways I want to do things. I'm like, yeah, I know, but there's certain steps of doing stuff, and to get that winged liner you wanted or whatever. Sometimes I may do things differently because that's not how I do things. And and you are you and I am me, and you hired me to come and do this situation. So either you trust me or you don't. And it turned out to be kind of an ugly situation. So I didn't actually wind up taking her on as a client. I was like, you know what? I think I'm booked until like 10 years. So sorry, you can go somewhere else. And that happens too, guys. But again, you've got to maintain control of the situation. And and that's not a good way to have someone, that would really piss me off actually as a practitioner if someone was constantly, I mean, obviously people want to look at stuff, but I would say, hey, let me get through all this little situation first, and then we're going to look at this and see what's going on. Kind of like when I'm mapping brows for my clients now, I don't show them everything that I'm doing anymore. I show them at the very end because I don't need to explain my whole life to them. They don't care about that stuff. They want to know what the end result's going to look like, right? So I don't tell them, oh, I'm putting a line here, and then putting a line here, and I'm putting a line here, and then I'm going to your arch, and then I'm going to your tail. I don't do all that stuff because that is just wasting my time. It's wasting their time. And if someone is going to try to do that to me, I find that they're wasting my time. I don't need them to tell me how to do my job. Either you trust me or you don't. And I know that that's going to be really hard for a new artist to say, and I'm not saying to say it ugly by any means, because we got to be respectful to our clients, because again, it is a tattoo on their face. We have to understand that. But when we're doing simple things like mapping things out and doing stuff, like I don't even do that anymore. And a lot of times now I don't even really show them like all the colors that I used to back in the day. I know what their skin's going to look like with stuff healed. I've been working with lines for so many years now that I know what's going to happen in their skin, and I know what's achievable and what's not achievable. And so I kind of don't even show them. I'll show them like the color that I think is going to work for them, and I'll show them like a color that's darker, and then they can kind of go what's they decide to go darker, then go darker at the touch up. I always tell them that I can always add. I can't take away. But that's kind of what I do. But yeah, you've got to maintain control of your patients and your clients, whatever you're doing. Because again, if you don't have that authoritative situation where you're, stopping all this, that patient could then run you an extra hour or longer, and then you're running late for your other clients, and that's just not, I think it's not feasible to do that, actually. So it says here, did the detail anything? I saw that. Okay, cool. And then I think that's about it. I said I'm going to do a video about this. Okay, cool. I'm looking at all of the work. And by the way, too, also with this person, when I saw what she did to the client, they were beautiful brows, by the way. So good job with the brows. I mean, I think that anyone would be really thrilled to have your work on them. But again, I just think it's really important to do your best to maintain control of the situation. So, okay. So we've been talking about 20 minutes now about this question, and I really hope that this answers the situation. And I'm going to do more of these questions. I don't want these videos to be very long, though. So guys, I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes so that we can, I'm not a long video person myself, so I don't like to watch long videos. So I want to keep them kind of shorter. So I am going to go into another question really fast too. Because we're talking about just the world. And let's see here. What was my other question? Let's see here. See if I can find it. Okay. All right. Where did I put that other question? Okay, here it is. This is, all right, this is it. This is with, this is for a makeup question. Okay. Okay, so this was here. All right, what is a simple, quick eye tutorial? Well, I'm not going to do a quick eye tutorial right now for you, but I will have some tutorials. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to have some out for, I'm actually going to invite some of my friends to be on the channel and do some makeup for them, and use them as models so that you can see what's going on. But I'm going to tell you really quickly about a product that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and that is the Clinique Chubby Sticks for eyes. I'm absolutely obsessed with them. I think that they're so amazing and they're so awesome. They come in a myriad of colors. I really am obsessed with Ample Amber, which is like a rose gold. I really love there's Willow, I believe is one of them. It's like this greenish color. It's like this kind of pewtery color. It's beautiful. Fuller Fudge is like this chocolatey bronze color. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a lilac color, but there's just so many colors, guys, and they come in a little stick. And what you do is you just kind of rub the stick on your eye, and then you can blend with your finger like so, or you can get a dome brush and go back and forth. In fact, I actually may do a tutorial about that and put that in the video too as well, because I think it's really cool. But those are some of my most favorite things to do for quick eye. And I've taught many clients this because it's really easy to do. Again, you just get that little chubby stick, you go over to your eye, and what you want to do is you want to stay in this area from your inner eye, right over your crease, kind of that half moon section, and then go out here to the very end of where your lash line is, and just kind of go back and forth, rub, and then again get your ring finger here, this guy, and just kind of tap, go like that, or get your dome brush and blend it out. And what you're doing is you're creating an ombre effect when you put a lot of the pressure, more pressure on the line of the lid right here, and then you start blending up here. It's going to get lighter as it goes higher, and it's just going to be really beautiful. And I think that they're fantastic, and they're not super expensive, and it's really fast. I mean, you can do this makeup, you can do that, and then throw some mascara on, and you're good to go. So I think that that is probably one of my favorite things to do. And then it said here also, what if you have really oily eyelids? If you have oily eyelids, I absolutely love using an actual waterproof eyeliner. Listen, it works as an actual shadow. And some of my favorites are the 24/7 pencil by Urban Decay. They come in so many colors, and my favorites are, this is going to be crazy, Whiskey Roach. Roach is a horrible name, but it's so pretty. It's like this kind of bronzy brown. Uzi, which is a kind of a gunmetal gray, and it looks beautiful on everybody. And it reads kind of like a black when you kind of put it on, but then when you get closer, you're like, whoa, that really is a beautiful color. Uzi. And then I really do like Perversion. Perversion is one of their blacks. It's like the blackest black ever. And I love using that one for a smoky eye. And so if you have oily eyelids, this is a really good trick, guys. So what you can do is you can just really, and you don't have to be a great artist. You can just get this little pencil. I'm going to pretend like this is it. And you can get it and just kind of go back and forth on your, like just kind of back and forth like this. And then get you a dome brush, just a round brush, and blend up. and start blending it up the same way you did that I told you how to do the Clinique thing. And you can even use your fingers too, but I think a brush works better with this. And what happens is with that waterproof product, it's going to sit on your eyes, and once it kind of sits, what you'll find about these pencils from Urban Decay is they're so malleable and they're so soft on the skin, but then they blend so beautifully, and then whenever they're dry and they're set, they don't move. So I mean, I love to use them during weddings, or like if I'm doing a filming situation where there's like hot lights and they're kind of running around and they're going to be crazy all day. I love using those as my eyeshadows and even as bases, because they're just fantastic. And I've been hearing really good things about the Victoria Beckham, her eyeliners as well. So I've heard from a few different people. In fact, one of my clients the other day, we were talking about it and she was obsessed with them. So you can try those too as well. But anything you don't have to buy expensive stuff. You can try the NYX line as long as it's like a waterproof. The Kohl's and things like that they'll work too as well, but they might shift a little bit more on you, which sometimes I don't hate. I don't think that it looks bad. Sometimes I think a worn in shadow looks a little bit kind of nice sometimes. Maybe just freshening up at the end of the day, maybe with some more mascara or sharpening up the line a little bit. But I think sometimes when you wear a shadow all day, it looks kind of pretty. But that's kind of what I would recommend. And again, for the oily eyes, the waterproof eyeliner trick is just going to work for everybody. So you can definitely try that out too. And then for my favorite, and asked about mascaras, I'm going to tell you my favorite expensive and then my favorite cheap. So my favorite expensive is going to be probably, I have a few actually. I really am obsessed with Christian Dior Show. I've always loved that one. That one's a really good one. I love Better Than Sex from Benefit. I also love, for a waterproof, Cannonball from Urban Decay. I love all the Clinique ones, the high impact. Those are really great too. They're kind of a mid-grade. They're not super expensive, but they're not like the most expensive you'll have. And then I'm really obsessed with, like, if you want to go like on the lower end of like $6-7 situation, Falsies by Maybelline. It's in the purple tube. That stuff is my favorite. Black Noir is what I use on every single bridal situation. It just works good on everybody. And again, it's like $6 and they're so fabulous. And I actually, and I guess with me as being a makeup artist, it's really hard for me to get to love the brushes, obviously, because the brushes I can't use on a client, so I have to use my own disposable little spoolies. So for me, it's more about the formula and how it sits on the hair, on the eyelashes versus like the brush, because I know a lot of people really are like, oh, I love the brush, like my mom loves the Lash Discovery from Maybelline. I believe that is Maybelline. And it has a really small, thin brush, and she can get in there and get her little lashes going. But some people want the bigger brushes too. So again, I don't get to use those because again, I use disposable. So, but for me, it's formula, and I really do love all those formulas. I think they're great. So again, Christian Dior Show. Smoky Lash 2 from Makeup Forever is also really good. Again, the Better Than Sex and Benefit from Benefit, the High Impact from Clinique. And then, like I said, Cannonball from Urban Decay, and then also your cheap would be the Maybelline Falsies in the purple tube. So, all right, guys. Well, this is at 27 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and roll this video out and be done. We'll get this out tomorrow, guys. It is Sunday here, and it is on the 20th actually. So I'm filming this, guys. I woke up this morning, and I want to talk about this really quickly because it's so very important. I woke up this morning to seeing I have too many friends as being a bartender for 20 plus years and working in the LGBT community. I have too many friends that have been touched and hurt by the situation that happened at Club Q in Colorado Springs. I know people that know people that were going to these bars and have stuff, and it has been absolutely devastating, and it's something that hits so hard to me as a bartender. That could have been one of my friends, that could have been one of my family members, one of my patrons, one of my co-workers. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. The hate that is going on in this world has to stop, and we have to band together, and there's strength in numbers, and we really got to stand with our friends and our family and making sure that we're doing the right thing, meaning voting for the right people, making sure that our families are safe. I'm not a person that's against guns. I'm not against guns, but I'm against how quickly and easily people can get them and can have some of these guns and then just carry them wherever the hell they want. And again, I know that not every gun owner is running around doing things badly, because again, I grew up around guns. I started shooting guns when I was young. Being from a country town, I'm not afraid of them. But again, I just think that there's some really bad situations that are going on in the world, and we need to get that fixed. So guys, please do the right thing for your friends and your family. This could be any any one of you people out there and watching this video. That could be your son, your daughter, your kid, your kid's friend, your cousin. I mean, this could be anyone, guys. They were just going to work. These bartenders were going. Two bartenders were killed. Were just going to work to make some money on a Saturday night, and then or a Friday night, and then this happens. I can't remember if it was last night, but yeah, I think it was last night. So yeah, Sunday. My days are kind of crazy. Sorry, but yeah, they were just trying to go to work, and that's it, And these patrons that were there were just trying to have a good time in the bar, and I just don't understand where the mentality was with this person that went in there shooting people. This is so hateful and so senseless and needs to stop. And so I just really wanted to put that out there to send good vibes to those people that were hurt. And then I think 25 people is what they were saying now that were hurt from this. And so I really hope that they're all okay. And I'm just so sad for this whole situation. It really, again, just breaks my heart, because again, I mean, I'm a bartender. I've been a bartender for so many years. I worked in gay bars, and I've had to deal with some really crappy people in my life, and I just never would have thought that this could be something that you're hearing about all the time now. It's just too much. So anyways, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but again, just do the right thing, guys. Vote for the right people. Make sure that people in your world are safe, because you just never know when you're gonna get to see them again. So all right, guys, have a wonderful day. I won't be back until after Thanksgiving, so if you celebrate Thanksgiving, have a good Thanksgiving. I will get a new video out the week on that next Monday. So again, if you guys have any questions about things, please leave them down in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Have a great day. Bye, guys.